I'm going to build a sugarcane farm disguised as a post office in my hardcore world. A few episodes ago, I built a wither skeleton farm and fought the wither, all to be over-prepared with a beacon when we fight the ender dragon. And in this episode, I want to finish building my beacon and build a sugarcane farm so that I am also prepared with enough paper for crafting rockets. And the first thing that we need to do to get started on this project is head over here behind the town and start terraforming this area so that we can build on it. This area behind the town is a little worse for wear, so I had to put quite a bit of work into terraforming this section. I started out by flattening the area that I wanted to place the post office and terraforming the hills around it to try and blend it naturally into where the building will sit. Right next to it is a large crevice that typically spawns a lot of mobs in it, so I made sure to fill it in entirely so we wouldn't have any issues with mobs in the future. And now that this area has been terraformed and it is ready for us to build, I can go ahead and grab my sticks and load up that schematic. And I'm actually going to go into free cam because it's going to make it a little easier for us to see. But I do want to rotate this so it's facing us. And then all we need to do is put it into the right spot and bring it into the ground a little bit more. And then I just want to make sure it's not touching the hill back here and that there's still a walkway between these buildings to get back in this section. And then if we exit free cam, I can kind of show you what my plans are for this area. So first off, I kind of want it just to be like a separate town behind this little town center. So I want to have two small entranceways, one being on that side and one being on this side. So it's kind of like a little alleyway access, and then it's going to be very crowded back here. We already have this building on this side, and then we'll crowd it in some more with the post office on this side. And then I want to add two more buildings to crowd this in some more, one being right here and another along this side. That way it blocks in this whole rectangular area right here, where if you guys remember, there was that water spring underneath it. So I figured it would be kind of cool to add a fountain right in the center, as if that was an old water source that they converted into a fountain so it was less dangerous, but there's still a reason that fountain can run. And with that all in mind, I am very excited for how this new pop-off of town is going to look. But before we can get started, we need to collect some resources so we can build our sugarcane farm. I mentioned this a little bit last video, but the gathering of wood for each of these projects has actually become quite daunting. Between all of the different crafting recipes that require wood, I spent about 3 hours just chopping spruce trees during this resource collecting time lapse. Even though the redstone for tree farms is a little bit complicated for me, I really need to sit down and finally dedicate myself to building one because it is getting ridiculous. Luckily this post office is cute, so it's worth it, but we'll definitely have to figure out a better alternative for the wood in the future. And now that we have all of the resources that we're going to need for this build, we can kick it off into the building time lapse of the first part of this building. And now that we have the first floor of this building complete, I think it's just about time that we take a break for our quality of life section for this video, which, like I said in the intro, we have been working on for quite a little bit of time here. So if I head back to our base, we can check out all the materials that we need from our main storage, which I believe should just be some obsidian, some glass, and of course, the nether star. And if we put all of those materials together, we can craft ourselves our very first beacon for this world. Now, of course, that beacon isn't actually handy just on its own, so let's head over to the iron farm. Then we can grab ourselves a couple of iron blocks here and a couple of ingots. And just to give this thing a good old test run, it's not going to be its permanent location, so don't worry too much if it's ugly. I think I'm going to set it up just right here. And I actually have not made too many of these, so let me start with just that first base layer. And then if we were to want a level 2 beacon, I believe it would be this tall. And then if I go out by one more, I believe this would be enough blocks to call a level 3 beacon. And if I plop this down in the center, it should go up. Oh, that is beautiful. And just to give it a good old test run to see if it works, we might as well add some speed. And I do not know how to add more effects. Pause for some quick Googling. I have returned from Googling and turns out that is not the biggest beacon you can make. Apparently we can go one more layer and make a 4-layer beacon. So let me grab some more blocks and then that is when it lets you pick 2 effects. So I believe if I use my Silk Touch pickaxe on this, there we go. Then we can add 1 more layer to this beacon. Turns out I need even more iron blocks, so it's a good thing I've been collecting those for a while. And then just like this should be the maximum size of beacon that we can actually have. You learn something new every day. Don't know how I haven't really set up a full beacon before, but you know. And now all we have to do, I believe, to add 2 effects to this is I select the very first one that I want, and then select the strength. And then I can also select the speed, and although it changes from being that sword, apparently that sword is still selected. So if I click check to enable that beacon, it should switch over to both speed and strength. And then I believe if I let these timers run out, the jump boost in my top corner should disappear, and the speed and the strength still stay in effect. I don't know why that's like one of the more slightly complicated and less intuitive parts of the Minecraft game mechanics. Or maybe it is intuitive to other people, but it is not to me. But I am glad that we figured that out, because that is going to be very helpful as we try to build a copper farm in a future episode. But now that that quality of life section is out of the way, we can head back into town and towards all of our resources, put our tools away, and pick back up the materials that we were building with. And with those materials, we can go ahead and start working on the 2nd and 3rd layers of our post office sugarcane farm. And now that we are officially done building our post office, I want to take you guys along to finish the final details. That way I can also give you a tour, and you guys get to see some of the fun and unique little details that I put into this build. First off, we're missing a couple of item frames around here. This one is our outdoor post office. It's actually technically working. You can leave something in there for people. This is for after hours in case the post office is closed. People can still leave it and it will be mailed out the next day. Next up, we have a bunch of barrels that are being dropped off right here, which need to be labeled. So if we place a couple right around here, then we can show what things are being delivered, such as paper, feathers, ink sacks, and books. Next up, the people delivering the post office supplies are going to need to know where they are going. So we're going to put a book and quill on both of these lecterns right here. So that way, as they are driving around, sitting in the seat, they can refer back to these 2 lecterns over here, which will tell them where to deliver all of their supplies. And of course, they can't deliver without something to push this cart. So just like some of the last carts we've made, let's grab a couple of horses from the base. And then using some leads, we can hook these guys to the fence right there, and it will give the appearance that they are pulling that cart to wherever the post office may need them. And speaking of horses, we have both A and Finn right here, and we're going to have to grab Oliver here because I discovered something very unfortunate. As you can see, we have Nay here, but we are missing our 2nd horse that we put here during the Wither Skeleton episode, and that is because this used to have copper rods attached to it, very similar to these carts in here. And I've left them on these carts because I believe they're not the highest points, so lightning doesn't target them. But as you can tell, this cart was out in the open, and I believe the lightning rod is the highest point for that block, and therefore the horse may have gotten struck by lightning. I apologize to whoever named that one. If you want to name another horse, I can get you another horse. And for now, we will just make our carts using the chains instead. I don't think he likes that one. To head inside of the post office, you have one of 2 entrances. This one is kind of like a little garage port with a sliding door that comes up and down. Obviously that's hypothetical, I can't make that happen in Minecraft very well, but it's for all the townspeople to have an easier access to the back rooms of the post office where all of the supplies from the cart are going to have to be offloaded and put inside. But we are actually going to start on this side, the 2nd entrance, where you walk in and you're greeted with a nice little waiting area where I would like to fill this area with some books, as if it's like local magazines or things like that. I'm sure if you've ever gone to a tourist town, there's a whole rack of things that they want you to do in that town that makes the money, and that is this rack. And then of course we've got a little cash register, and you'll notice that I put kind of an awkward beam up here on the ceiling and a fence gate right here, and that is because I would like to man this back area with a villager. That way it looks nice and lively when you walk in, and you can actually get checked out at the register by an actual villager. So to do that, we're going to need a couple of our rails here. Then we can head over to our villager pits, and we can start making our way back over to the post office with our rails. And then we can grab ourselves a villager and bring it over towards that post office. And then if we use the rails, we can kind of guide him into that spot that we want. Then if we put back the fence gates, then I believe we can release him because he cannot get out of this area. Unless I let him out. So then we can clean up all of this rail mess. And just by nature, because there is some barrels in here, he is a fisherman, which isn't the most post office-y vibes, but I'll deal with it. Next up on the details list that I would like to complete, we're going to head into the back room where I have another area right here where I'd like to add a bunch of books as if they're a bunch of little mail parcels coming out. Then I also made this tiny little wheelbarrow just in case they have to haul some big packages back and forth to the front. And of course back here, this is all of the extra storage capacity, which links up to the little garage door area with the cart. And that's pretty much it for the back room that I can show you for now. So let's start heading upstairs. And as you can see, we're not actually growing any sugarcane yet. So let's fix that. First off, I'm going to need to add some water. That one is going to flow all the way over here to the ice, which will then send the items going forward a little bit more through this water stream, which should make it all the way to the end where there's a hopper. And that hopper actually goes downstairs where that collection area was. So now all we need to do is go along here and add some of our sugarcane. And I have a few extra, so I may as well add some second layers just so we can demonstrate this a little quicker. And there we go. And if we just wait for just a moment, it should grow the sugarcane just tall enough for one of those observers to notice that it has grown. Just like that. And all of that sugarcane will then fall down into this water stream, into that hopper, which, like I was showing you earlier downstairs, is all connected up into these 3 little lockers. And they'll start landing in this barrel, and then it will just start filling up all of these barrels. And if I flip all these trapdoors up, you can kind of see where that line goes. I just figured it was a little ugly, so I covered it up. And now I believe the only thing that I haven't showed you about this build, of course we've seen the first and the second floor now, but we also have a third floor, which I wasn't entirely sure what to do with. So if you guys have any suggestions or something you'd like to see up here, let me know in the comments, and I'll definitely add it because I have no ideas. And then the final part of this build is actually all the way up at the top of the tower, where we just have a blank tower. I didn't have anything in particular I wanted to put on this one, so now it's just a pretty view of the town. And although the view is very pretty from here, I'm risking being on the edge. As you can see, we have a road that goes to the center of town, and if you look on our map, almost all of the industrial district, I've done pretty good at connecting one of the main roads to the buildings, all except for this one right here, which is our greenhouse. So I figured while we were already adding in a road to our post office, we might as well backtrack and add a road heading over to our greenhouse as well. And with that, the post office is complete. I don't know why there's a cow in a hole. Are you okay down there, sir? You were severely stuck, huh? Okay, anyways. The town is looking a little bit fuller with our post office, which I am glad. I had a lot of fun designing this one, and I hope you guys had fun watching as well. If you did, don't forget to consider subscribing, because I would love to see you guys in the next episode. And I think this cow would too. Subscribe to get him out of the hole. And speaking of next episodes, here's a couple that I think that you would enjoy.